Well, a lot of new moms, have challenging times, but he was the only one of our children who, from birth was just one of a kind. The other two were easygoing babies, and he just came screaming into the world, and I guess he left screaming in a different way. As a temperament, he was kind of that deep, rich, melancholy temperament that made him a rich personality, but also had his own vulnerabilities. His tendency to depression, we didn't just sweep that under the rug. It was something he and I kept out on the table together. Yeah, and you asked why he joined the Marines, and his reasons were he just felt he needed a break from academia and using his brain so much. Also, he tended to be quite independent and a little bit of a loner in a way. And he felt that the Marines would kind of pressure him to be a bit more of a team person, because you can't be a loner in the Marines, that's for sure. He called his older sister, started to cry on the telephone, and she said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Well, I got a bird. I shot a bird just to see if I could kill." And he was just broken in tears because he had shot a bird. And he did it to test himself before he went into the Marines, to see if he had the capacity to take life. And so his deployment coincided with both of the big battles for Fallujah. He, in that second deployment, was quite firsthand involved in some very difficult things, quite gory things. Daniel had a difficult time making the readjustment back to civilian life after he was out of the Marines. I could see him becoming more and more tired and more deeply depressed, losing weight. A couple of times in the night, his wife woke up and heard noise in the living room and went to the living room, and he was sitting fully clothed in his camis and helmet, and had the pictures of his buddies and some pictures that were also pretty awful war pictures. And he was sitting cross-legged in the living room floor in his camis and his helmet, just weeping over the pictures. I asked him to promise me that, if he got so low that he was thinking of taking his life, that he'd let me know. She said, "Well, there's no way to say this easily." And Daniel shot himself and he's dead. And that was it. That was no build up to it, really. It's just like she said, there's no easy way to say it. His letter was very lucid. He apologized for what he knew he would be putting us through. He went through each member of the family and thanked each member of the family for all they had meant to him, and ways he'd been raised, and the ways that his sister had cared for him and his brother, and apologized for the example he was leaving, and that he loved us and was grateful, but just couldn't go on. Had Daniel been able to take the good things from the Marines in terms of the camaraderie and the schedule and the exercise, because he always felt better, obviously exercising and eating consistently is good for anyone who's wrestling with depression. So that was a positive point, but certainly the experiences Daniel had in the war, especially during the second deployment, he never recovered from. I don't have any problem. I'm not saying that's the only factor in his death, but it's a huge one. Many of these troops who come home and take their own lives are people who fought heroically and served heroically, but died unheroically. And so there's really no place for them or for their families. And it's a bit isolating, and I think we can do a lot to, in breaking the stigma of suicide even in our veterans who come home, and we can do a lot to help prevent it and also to support the families who have been left behind in that way.